Hey now, it is ham time. So I've had a lot of great success with some pork loin ham products over the years. I've done cold smoked sous vide, there's hot smoked, I've done honey mustard ham, and now, I'm telling you, it's time for hot honey. We're looking for something spicy, something sweet, something delicious, and I can't wait to try it. I mean, I'm gonna have to because it's gonna take a while to cure, but come along for the ride. All right, I got this pork loin here out of that cryovac bag. I rinsed it off, I patted it dry, and it's kind of squashed into this tub. It's a little bit too long for that. It's a little bit thinner over here, and I mean, I can see how it's on sale. This thing looks like it went through a few rounds in the ring with the champ, but you know what? I've got faith that we're gonna make something beautiful out of this little soldier here, so let's do that. Okay, quick word about the weight and the cure and all of that stuff. First of all, we are working in grams, okay? It is way, way easier for calculation, for scaling, for all of that. So deal with it. We're working in grams. That there was 4,687 grams, just about 4.7 kilograms, decent sized cut of meat here. And all of the ingredients that I'm putting in there are a percentage of that weight. So when I talk about, oh, this is 2% with that ingredient, you just, if you weigh out your piece of meat, get it in grams, multiply it by that percent, okay? So multiply by times 2%, you get your ingredient weight. This way you can scale it for any size, any weight of meat. It's incredibly simple. Or if you're like me, you set up a little Google sheet or whatever, and you just punch in your stuff, and every time you go to repeat it, it just automatically calculates it for you. It's pretty beautiful. Anyway, okay, we're also going with an equilibrium cure, meaning the amount of salinity and actual cure that we put into this is the exact amount that we want in the finished product. No freshening required or anything like that after we cure. So let's mix it up here. All right, honey hot, here we go. So I'm going to start off with the liquid ingredients. So taking a look at this, I've got liquid honey, and that is 5%. Or it's, you know, just under 3/4 of a cup of that honey. Now, to that, I'm going to be adding also 5% of hot sauce. This is actually like Frank's Red Hot Sauce. I had a bunch in the cupboard, so I'm using it. You want some sort of like a nice vinegar-based sauce, because that's going to help, that acidity of that will help balance out the sweetness of that honey. I'm obviously going for a 1-to-1 ratio on this. This is also something that you can play around with if you want to go with something spicier or something sweeter. Just play around with that ratio, increase whichever one you feel like. Okay, got that partially mixed up. I'm hoping the rest of this fits in. So starting off with cure number 1, or Insta-Cure number 1, or NitroCure number 1, or Prod Powder number 1, whatever. It is your sodium nitrite based cure. And yes, I am putting cure into this. It's a cured product. There's no way to really get around that. The celery powder people out there, that stuff's also bad for you. So anyway, deal with it. We got 0.25% of that meat weight of that. I'm just going to toss it right into here. Now, depending on which cure you're using, which product, it might be a different percentage. Just go with the manufacturer's recommended quantities. Now, for salt, I've got kosher salt here, and I'm going with 2% of that. That's lower than I would normally use. Normally, I'd be going like 2.5% or something like that. But because that red hot sauce there is already quite salty, I don't want to risk overshooting that too badly, so I did dump that down a bit. We've got some garlic powder, that's 0.15%. I'm just gonna get that in there as well and keep stirring. Then we've got paprika, I've got 0.3% of that. And that's actually my final ingredient. So I'm just gonna give this a good stir to hopefully get the majority of that salt up into solution, or at the very least kind of kicking around and evenly balanced here. One giant pork loin coming up, and we are depositing that into the world's longest vacuum seal bag ever. All right, sweet. Let's get this cure. Actually just pouring this directly into here, and we're gonna go shake and bake style here in a second and just distribute all of this cure and sauce and seasoning inside the bag. How's she smell? Woo! Woo! Yeah, hot sauce. All right, let's mix her up. So I've got the old trusty food saver here. I've got it on the moist setting and also gentle. So with any luck, we can get a good amount of the air out of here without sucking out the actual sauce. There we go. And the goal here was not to completely vacuum seal that. I knew that was going to be an impossibility. We're not using a chamber sealer or anything like that, but that's totally fine. Got most of the air out. We're gonna double seal. I actually have the one that this end here is already double sealed. We'll do the same to this side here. I've got this all in here. I can kind of let this stretch back out. We can utilize that full bag, which is beautiful. I've got the product as well as the date on here. Now the trick really is being patient, because I have to take this. It's gonna go in the fridge. It's gonna sit there for weeks. It's gonna cure. It's gonna do its thing. I'm gonna go in there every day or two. I'm gonna, kind of massage the meat, work everything around there, and just let it work its magic. Let everything get all that flavor in there. It's gonna be beautiful. And here we are, curing complete. Now, a pork loin of this size would theoretically, bare minimum, be ready in about 2.5 weeks, fully cured. However, we're looking for maximum flavor penetration, so I did let this go closer to 5 weeks, and now I am ready just to open this up, get it out of the package, and then I'm going to rinse it off, pat it dry, and we will be ready to get onto the smoker. And our honey hot pork loin ham is on my Pit Boss 700 FB. I've got this just on the smoke setting here. We're going to give it a few hours like that. I do have my meter plus probe inserted here just so I can kind of track how things are going there. I also have my honey mustard ham up on the back, but because that's a bit thicker of a loin, I'm going to run the thermometer in this honey hot one until it's done. And underneath this here, I do have like a baking tray that does have some water and just a splash of cider vinegar in it, and that's going to help keep a little bit of a nice humid environment while this is smoking. Now, after 3 hours of smoking with those applewood chips, we're definitely getting some nice smoke color going on with these loins. I'm going to increase the temperature here to 225 degrees Fahrenheit and let it start to actually hot smoke. After an hour and 45 minutes, oh, look at that! At 225 degrees, we have hit 138 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's just going to continue to rise up to 140. Looking beautiful. And that's all thanks to that meter probe that I'm tracking the temps. Now, after resting, this loin would be totally ready to eat right now. However, I have different plans for this, so into the refrigerator it goes. All right, so after chilling down here, I'm going to take this honey hot pork loin, and I'm just going to slice into it here. I'm gonna have a little look at what we've got. Fabulous. Okay, now what I want to do is rip off some slices here on the slicer and just see how it tastes. And we'll do that using my Avantco slicer here. Ooh, look at those. Time to taste test here. I love this method for making these pork loin hams where they're cured and then finished hot smoking there, taking them just to that low finishing temperature because you retain so much moisture still in the meat. Now, as far as the flavor goes, I'm calling this a honey hot, but I do know that my classic quest is to try to actually impart heat into these meats and different charcuterie and stuff that I make. Really, really hard to do. Not a lot of spice and heat coming through with this. However, there's tons of flavor coming out of that hot sauce. So we've got the hot sauce, we have the garlic, there's some sweetness coming out of the honey. It's a really, really nice balance. So one thing that's really nice about this is that it's got enough flavor that I'm going to be enjoying this on sandwiches for sure. Also, the little ones are going to like it. They're not going to be like, oh, this is too spicy for me or anything like that. So it will actually wind up pleasing everybody, which is fantastic. So there may be a version coming in the future where I really, really try to scale up the heat on that, which would probably just be for, the adult sandwiches in the house. But either way, fun little experiment. Give it a whirl. If you do, let me know how it turns out. And until next time, keep it at 11.